Imagine rising from obscurity to rule most of Europe, only to lose everything in a single day. June 18, 1815, the day the world stopped holding its breath. On the quiet fields near a Belgian village called Waterloo, thunder rolled from cannon fire, not clouds. The sun rose on the final gamble of a man who had once been crowned emperor of the French and feared across the continent. That morning, Napoleon Bonaparte believed he would reclaim his throne. By nightfall, he was finished. Napoleon wasn't supposed to be here. A year earlier, he had been exiled to the island of Elba after a disastrous Russian campaign and defeat at the hands of the Sixth Coalition. But exile couldn't hold him. In a story that sounds almost fictional, he escaped Elba, returned to France, and within weeks rallied an army behind him. Europe panicked. Monarchs trembled. The 100 Days had begun. At Waterloo, the fate of Europe balanced on a knife's edge. Napoleon faced the Duke of Wellington's Anglo-Allied forces and the advancing Prussian army under Marshal Blucher. Time was everything. Napoleon needed to smash Wellington's army before the Prussians arrived. He thought he could divide and conquer, just like he had done so many times before. But this time, the strategy failed. Napoleon's men fought like lions. So did Wellington's. From early morning to late afternoon, wave after wave of French assaults crashed against the Allied line. Hougoumont, La Haye-Sainte, and the rolling hills of the battlefield became names written in blood. The French cavalry charged, glittering like thunder under the grey sky. But they charged without infantry support. The British formed squares. The French broke. Still, the emperor believed. Even as his marshals hesitated, as his scouts brought grim news of Blucher's approach, Napoleon kept pressing. His secret weapon. The Imperial Guard, his most elite, undefeated unit. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, he sent them in to break the enemy once and for all. They marched with precision, with pride, with power. And then they ran. The sight of the Imperial Guard retreating shattered French morale. Rumors of betrayal rippled through the ranks. Thousands threw down their weapons. The road south turned into chaos. Napoleon's dream dissolved into mud, smoke, and horror. It was over. The man who had redrawn maps, who had crowned himself emperor, who had bent kings to his will, had lost it all in a single afternoon. The scale of the defeat wasn't just military, it was psychological. Napoleon had been Europe's great disruptor, a force of revolution and ambition. Now, he was a fugitive again. Days later, he surrendered to the British. This time, there would be no second Elba. He was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he would die 6 years later, surrounded by memories and maps of a world he once ruled. But Waterloo didn't just end a life. It ended an era. The old monarchies of Europe breathed a sigh of relief. The Congress of Vienna, interrupted by Napoleon's return, resumed its mission to restore order, meaning power went back to royal families, not to the people. Revolutions would still come, but the dream of a truly different Europe had been delayed by blood and mud. And yet, the myth of Napoleon only grew. Even his enemies respected him. In defeat, he became immortal. Statues rose. Books filled shelves. Generals studied his tactics. Revolutionaries invoked his name. And the word Waterloo became synonymous with downfall, not just for Napoleon, but for anyone who flies too close to power without understanding how easily it slips away. History isn't just about who wins. It's about the moments when everything changes forever. And sometimes, all it takes is one rainy battlefield and one wrong decision to bring an empire to its knees. If you are drawn into this story of ambition, glory, and downfall, make sure to follow TriviaTales, because history's greatest moments don't just belong to the past. They echo in every empire that rises and every one that falls.